It's a Saturday night. I was alone. Again. Thank God for peanut butter cookies. I love peanut butter cookies.
Welcome to the dawn. If you would like to continue this experience, press come. The special guest experience.
All right, we are at the moment I have been waiting for all day. We have our very, very, very special guest with us, Mr. Morris Hayes. Welcome. Thank you so much.
Hey, what's up?
Yes. So we're going to get into it, but before we do, I just want to show this one slide here to remind everyone that we are celebrating 2 albums this weekend for the 30 Virtual Symposium. We're talking a lot today about Exodus, and we're also going to be talking a lot about the Gold Experience tomorrow. And I am just really thrilled that Mr. Hayes accepted our invitation to talk with us. So we're going to get started with a little background information for those of you who may not be as familiar with Mr. Hayes's background, musical background. And I would love to start with, I know you grew up in a very small town, and I did too, so that I'm not minimizing that at all. I'm in Sealy. I'm so happy that I grew up in a small town. But I heard an interview with you, and I want to talk to you about your brother, because if I remember correctly, your brother is a DJ. And can you talk a little bit about how your brother being a DJ, as well as the music that you were exposed to in Arkansas when you were growing up, led you to the musician you are today?
Yeah. So this is cool. First of all, man, thank you for having me on your program, on your podcast. And it's a pleasure to be here. It's so good to see everybody, all of the folks popping up on the screen. Hello, much love to everybody out there. But when I was growing up, I grew up in the church, and I played a lot at church. We had an older house before we got into the house that I'm in right now is the house I grew up in. And we used to have an older house that was like right over from this one. And when we had this house built, my mom mom and dad let us have this other place as a like a pool hall. We put a pool table in there, Seaberg, which is a jukebox, and pinball machines. And so that was kind of like how me and my brother made allowance. Is that we would have this thing, we'd open it up after we do homework, we open it up. And so what my brother would do too, he was like a DJ where we would do house parties because it was a full house. And we just only used the first couple of rooms, the living room and the family room kind of thing as the pool room. And then the other part, we put he had his whole DJ of like turntable situation. And it wasn't like a DJ rig like you would think of. This is the 70s, right? So we just had like a turntable and some speakers and then an amp, and then he'd play albums, and then people would pay money, like a couple bucks or whatever it was, to come to a house party. It's just like a house party. And so he would have all of these records, man. He bought all of the records. I remember when he bought Dirty Mind, I was playing the record, and I just was like, I remember heads, just like the keyboard solo was like, Matt just like burned this solo. And so I used to, like, when he would go buy all these albums, what my deal was, I helped, carry or whatever. He'd go and he started playing at other places. He started DJing at other parties and other stuff, like other house parties around the surrounding city. And so I would just go through the albums, and I just would like listen to stuff and read credits and things like that, But he was basically the guy that brought the music around, and then I would just go through his crates and get into music that he would play. So that was my brother's deal. But I mean that was very cool that I had that around, and I was playing at church and he was doing the whole house party thing.
And so you were also exposed to all kinds of music growing up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I feel like growing up today is a lot different from when we grew up, because I was just exposed to so many different genres of music. Can you talk about like what genres of music you grew up listening to?
Absolutely. So the situation is, when you live in a small town, like in the woods, like I do, and like I did at the time, the AM station that was the black station that played the R&B music and everything. When you start getting out of range, which wasn't very far. It gets crackly and it's mono. It's very, not the best sounding. They're playing all the stuff you love, but the sound is not, it's optimal, right? But at the stations in Little Rock, which is like half an hour away, they were very strong. The FM stations were very powerful. And so there were people that were crossed over, like Stevie and Earth, Wind and Fire, that you could hear on some of the on the FM stations that they would play in some rotation. But by and large, there were no black FM stations at the time. There were no that just played R&B music. Not you have to go to Memphis for that, which is about 3 hours away. And so then I ended up because I liked the sound of FM and the stereo. It was more important for me to just listen to music that sounded great than necessarily like, well, it's like Earth, Wind, and Fire. I mean, it's the Ohio Players, and so I ended up listening to a lot of rock and roll. I listened to like a lot of Steely Dan. I listened to the Eagles. I listened to like a lot of the rock and roll, the '70s bands, Doobie Brothers, Super Tramp, like a lot, my guys, Led Zeppelin, like a lot of stuff like that that they would play. And then later on in the 80s, there was like, Asia and like a lot of the bands like that, Boston, like stuff like that. And I would hear a lot of these songs, and I loved that. Yeah, like the yacht rock thing. I loved a lot of that music. And so, and then I love to like read credits. I love to see like who did this and who mixed it and who's playing on it and all those sorts of things. So that was the reason why I think I have such a wide diversity in music genres, because I listen. And then of course being in the South, man, country and western, even bluegrass. And I mean, bluegrass is crazy to me. Like what these cats are playing is bananas. I mean, so it's like there are no punks like for that Nashville thing and like all of that. It was a lot of incredible music like on the country and western side. I used to listen to Johnny Cash. I used to listen to like Conway Twitty and like a lot of the cats. There's some a few like Ray Charles was like just huge. Ray being one of my favorites was Brother Ray. So there was a lot of stuff that that wasn't necessarily like what all the other kids around me were listening to.
So you share it with me, and I am so extremely jealous that James Brown was your very first concert. Can you talk to us about what that was like to see Mr. Brown live?
Well, it was crazy because it was my big brother's 17th birthday, and my mom decided to take us to Little Rock to James's on his 17th birthday concert in Little Rock, and it was. And I mean, this is my first, because before that, the only concerts I went to was church. That was the choir reunion or the choir concert. That's all I went to. And when she took him, because again, my brother's at this age, he's starting to DJ and doing his house parties and stuff. And he played a lot of James Brown, and everybody played a lot of James Brown. And man, we went to this show. Let me tell you something. It was so bananas. I mean, first of all, going to Little Rock back then when you like lived out here was like going to New York City, if you lived out in the woods. Then it was like we just went to New York. It's like we drove all the way out there. It's a 30-minute drive, 40-minute drive, and then you go out there and you're among all of these people and you're in this show. And then James came out and did his thing. Man, he had his dancers. Maceo was there. I told Maceo about this because, I used to play with Maceo for a while. And I remember telling Maceo about the whole thing. And I said, yeah, and the dancers was up there. And he said, yeah, I married one of them dancers. so I was like, oh, for real? And he said, yeah, man, one of the dancers I ended up marrying, and they stayed married forever, And I said, man, Maceo, there was a part in the show where James Brown did a thing with strobe lights. Like they turn on the strobe lights and James looked like it was like he would jump and do the splits in the air. And it was like, it was all, it was like, man, I was like, oh, I was done, man. It was so crazy. I even saved up my money and bought a strobe light from I ordered a strobe light. And I just would turn it on in my room and just get in there and start dancing. And then just see yourself like looking at your own hands like, wow, this is crazy. It's just, man, kids do stupid stuff. But it was like, that was such a blast to see James and to see that kind of perfection This is at the height of James's, James is smoking it in 1971, whatever year that was when my brother was turning 17. I mean, that was, James was at the top of his game, and James stayed at the top of his game, but it was like full regalia. And so it was amazing, man. And I just was like, I'd never seen anything like it. And I didn't go to many concerts. We didn't go to many, but we went to that one. And then '82 when Prince came, that was the next thing.
So the 1999 tour was your second concert.
Yeah, I think I went to something in between. I don't remember what, because I went to see Larry Graham, the Isley Brothers, and Hamilton Bohannon. It
Mm.
was like the three of them were on a ticket together. And I'm trying to remember if that was before or after Prince. I think that was before Prince. But it was Graham Central Station, the Isley Brothers were the headliner, and then Bohannon opened for the open, and then Graham. And I remember saying at the time I saw Larry Graham and he set his bass on fire, and I'm like, who's coming after this? I'm like, who coming after this? I mean, this dude put his bass on the ground, lit it on fire, and it kept going. I was like, dude, what? Like what? And so the Ozzy Brothers came behind us, but they had mad hits. So they came in and hit them hits, and it was like, okay, I see what's up. It's like we opened for Cool in the Gang when I was playing with Maceo. Maceo ain't no punk. He go get it. Skeet Curtis, Bruto. But let me tell you something. Them jokers every song was a hit. Pow, pow, pow. Prince would be like, how many hits you got, Morris? How many hits you got? So it's like Cool in the Gang got hits. Every one of them was like, ooh, what else you got? You know, it was like that. It was crazy.
So when you first saw the triple, I call it the triple threat.
Triple threat. Yeah.
Yeah. And like for me, because I saw it in Birmingham, Alabama, and I was only 12 years old. And because, I'm 12 years old, I remember Vanity Six. I don't remember the time, I don't remember Prince, but I literally remember Vanity Six coming on stage with the pink and the fishnet
Yeah.
stuff and all
The
that.
fishnet. Yep.
Yeah, but I know that you were really impacted by the time. Like what was it about that concert that struck a chord with you when you were watching it?
Well, first, when I saw Vanity, I'd never seen, even though I hadn't been to many concerts, I'd never seen a concert where they had a giant curtain. Um, there was not like a pit band, like they're in front of the show, like in a pit, and they can kind of see what's going on the stage or whatever. They were behind the curtain, and Prince was back there with them. They all playing. And so everything had to be rehearsed to the point where they knew where the hits were going to be. They had moves to go with the ten, and they're doing the stuff, choreography. Everything's going with these hits. So they can't see that, the cues, they have to know that. They have to know the music well enough to know where the cues are and how to hit those cues. And so that was fascinating to me. I'm like, wow, they playing this stuff. There's no band to kind of key off the energy. It's just three girls in front of this big fishnet curtain. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. That's pretty dope. Then, of course, later I found out it was the time back there. It was like playing behind the curtain. When the curtain comes down, and the Time's got their set, they got their time wall with the brownstone kind of background, like Brooklyn background on the brownstone kind of thing. It was pretty dope, and you got these six guys. The music was arranged such that they could repeat everything that he played on the album. Prince was very cognizant of doing music that could be reproduced using and well until I got around, then it got really crazy. But at that time, before the event of like a lot of samplers and technology like that, the music was really written so that they could reproduce it exactly like they did it in the studio, and that's exactly what they did. That concert sounded just like the record, but better because they could do some extra things that they didn't do on the album, which was Prince's strong suit. One of his strongest strong suits was him being able to like arrange a show even better than the record. And that's something I came to discover as I started working with Prince. I remember when I first went to Paisley Park, kind of going to the rehearsals. I was watching the Nude Tour rehearsals when Prince and Miko got in a fight that time,
Oh
and I
wow.
just was watching. I was watching and just like thinking like the record was dope, but then it's like this is taking it to a whole nother level. Prince is like moving this to a whole nother level, like just the additional things, like all the nuances in the music now he's using as focal points, like dum, bam, that. So everything that happens now gets even more accentuated because now he's like using it as a tagline that everybody can either play, or he's going to hit a split, or he's going to hit a move on that lick that's going to make everybody have to hit it. And so he just started. You start to notice every piece in the music that becomes something you can use to accentuate the live show. And so when I got to this show and I saw the time, and I saw Jesse, and I saw like everybody in lockstep as they moved across the stage. Every move was like choreographed. Jimmy Jam's got his hand in his pocket. He's playing this thing, and he's moving. Terry's moving, Monty's moving, and it was just like it was crazy. I never saw a guy play drums backwards. Jelly Bean was playing backwards. I was like, this is bananas. And I said, man, I love these guys. I'm gonna play with these guys. And I just said, I got to play with these guys. And then Prince came up, and it was like it was like whoa, like wow. I had heard his music, of course. My brother had some of the records. I listened to some of the records, and it was a whole nother thing. The outfits, just the energy, just how that few people could sound that big and sound like that. And of course later on when I would talk to Prince about what I'm telling you guys and just say like, yeah, man, I remember when you guys came to my hometown, and they only came once. If I had have missed them that time, God only knows where I would be right now. Had I not seen that show and been inspired, like I said, this is the pirate's life for me. I said, this is my destiny. When I saw Prince doing it, I said, all roads lead to Minneapolis. Somehow I have to figure out how to do that, how to work with them. And that was December 17, 1982. And I got in the band in 1992. So it was a 10-year journey, but I made it.
That is it's incredible that it was a 10-year journey, but you got there. Now, in
Yeah.
between, I have the Carmen Electra tour book, and you can see
Yeah.
yourself there. And so you were
Yeah.
in Carmen's band before you joined Princess. So can you tell us a little bit how you got into Princess band and what your journey was during that 10-year period?
Yeah. What happened is once we got to Minnesota, and we got to Minnesota, and I came from Maserati. That's the reason why I came to Minnesota. I got oh yeah, Web Diva 3000. I'm about to tell you right now. Uh, so I came. We opened my group Fingerprint. When I moved to Memphis, I was after. I'm going to give you the quick synopsis. When I left the University of Arkansas, I was an art major. I had an art scholarship, and but I was playing with a little college band. There was a guy named Greg Sane, which is G sharp. He was one of my frat brothers at the school, and we were in a band together on campus. He, I ended up getting recruited by a guy from DeVry computer school, and this is the early '80s. This is like computers are starting to be a thing, and he came to my house here and like knocked on the door. We used to have traveling salesmen selling vacuum cleaners and education and all kinds of stuff. He knocked, doom doom doom. Hi, how y'all doing? Yeah, I'm here to talk to you about going to school at computer school, DeVry, and I just wanted to see if you was interested in. And we came in, and he's got the he said, computers is the future, and I think you're going to want to align yourself in a career that's going to be taking off. I said, computers, huh? They're going to do something. Computers. All right, I said, okay. And I got to think Greg Sane was the best artist at the school. He was the only artist at the school making money beside the instructors. And he wasn't even an art major. He was he had his choir scholarship and was a biology major or something like this. And I'm like, I had to rethink my choices. I said, why am I doing art if the guy who's here for music is the best artist at school and he's the only one making money doing it? I said, maybe I need to get in a different profession. And so I took this guy's offer up to go, and I said, my aunt lives in Chicago. I'm going to go to DeVry in Chicago, so I'm going to go to school in Chicago. And I went. And And I'm going to fast forward through all of that. I went to a big church there, fellowship with Clay Evans, which I had met in 1979 at a church in Tennessee where he's from. He's from Tennessee. And I went up to him and told him my aunt goes to your church and one day I'm going to come play at your church. He said, well, son, you come on. You're really good. He said, you come on and we're going to take you in. And he told me this in 1979 in Tennessee. Fast forward to like 82, 3, 80, somewhere in there, late 82. I go to Chicago, thereabouts. And I join this church. He immediately puts me into, yes, shout out Chicago, fellowship, y'all. I go and I go down and join the church. He said, now, I met this young man. He said, I met this young man in Tennessee, and he said he was going to come, and he turns around and tells, God rest her soul, Reverend Sister Ludella, she just went home a few months ago. But he said, Ludella was his sister. He said, Ludella, you take him, and y'all work with him in the music ministry. And and he put me in the music ministry with some of the best players in Chicago at that church, Brian Jones, Cam Jarman, like all of these guys that Anthony Harmon, who was ended up playing with Yolanda Adams, and that was her bass player for many years before he died. And so, like, I got in that whole set, but then I moved to Memphis and got with these guys, with Gregory, who I went to college with. And that really kind of set off the thing. I started playing with them. They were one of the best bands. Well, they were the best band in Memphis, and and would get a lot of opening gigs. Maserati was one, and so we opened for them. And of course, they had already done this thing where Mark Brown and the Prince Camp saw them and was like, "Yo, man, we see people play our music, and everybody butchers it, but you guys sound like us." That's what they said, and everybody can exchange numbers. Craig Rice, and everybody, and so that's formulated that relationship, and so we ended up opening with them Maserati in Memphis, Maserati in San Antonio, like just some different spots, and finally, like we got a call. Greg got a call first to come to Minneapolis and audition. They were going to be changing some things up with the second Maserati album. And so they brought Greg up and he ended up taking off from I had moved to Austin, Texas, going up to Minneapolis. Well, a few months after that, I get the call to come and audition. And I go and I get in and blah, blah, blah. We do one show. I do one show with Maserati and then we lose the record deal. We had a record deal signed with Motown. Motown got bought by MCA Records. Gerald Busby took over, and the band got cut. But then by this time now, Prince is bubbling. He's got his club going up in Minneapolis, and the Glam Slam is gets set up. We end up being the house band for Glam, and we're doing the thing. Prince really likes us. He's got this. He had this girl come and join us. We wanted to have Margaret Cox. So we ended up doing this thing. He liked it so much when he decided to go on tour, the Diamonds and Pearls tour. This is 1992 now. He decided, well, I want to take Carmen, but I want to have a band instead of being like a rap artist with like a DJ or whatever. He wanted to take a whole band, and so he took the house band that was Carmen's band and made, the house band and made it Carmen's band, and that's how we ended up going on the Diamonds and Pearls tour in '92, opening up. And that's my guy, Jack Robinson and all of the guys that were there at the time.
So how do you go from, being in Carmen Electra's band to being in Prince's band? And I know it was about a conversation in Glam Slam. And the reason why I really want to point out Glam Slam, as someone who never got an opportunity to actually go to Glam Slam, I always love to hear people talk about just Glam Slam, the club era.
There you go. There you go. I just want to interject. I'm one of those people who was lucky enough to be up in Glam Slam.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel sorry for you. Glam was one of the dopest places you could go. I mean, I love Glam Slam. It was just like, if it was Shangri-La because it's all, Prince was about live music and playing live music, and there was a lot of acts to come through through the slam, as we affectionately called it. A lot of acts came through the slam, and it was like. It was pretty bananas. So we loved it. I was there all the time. That was our hang and that was our thing. And so it was just the bomb back in the day. You could always, Prince was going to be there. The crowds were always, uh, just bananas. And so it was just a place to be. It just like that was a thing in Minneapolis. It just was a heyday thing. And I can only imagine what it was like. I came into Minneapolis in the mid '80s, like '86. Was when I first came, and then came permanently to live in '88. And so, but from '86, we came into town to work with Brown and just coming into town for stuff like working on a demo and stuff. But by the time I got there, man, it was just like Prince was riding so high. Purple Rain was huge. Around the world in a day, and just like he's just on fire, man. And he's just going. And his parties was like the place to be at Paisley. When Paisley got finished, it was like party central. It was like it was the bomb. It just was really like I don't know what to tell you. It was just like the place and the time. And so by the time we got to the Carmen thing, and we're doing that whole tour, and as we're doing it, man, Prince is like really actively working with us. The thing I loved about Prince is highly competitive as he was in terms of being like a fierce competitor. Prince wanted everybody to be strong. I don't think Prince would enjoy beating up on the weak. He wanted to fight the best. Michael Jackson, like
Right.
all of the people who were supposed to be at the top of the game. That's who we went for. It's like we come in with the heat. Prince wanted to, so he wanted Carmen's band, my band, to be great too. He came and helped us with the rehearsals. He listened to what I'm doing. I'm the MD, and he's letting me do my thing. And he may have a suggestion here and there, and he makes sure we got the right equipment. He making sure, unlike a lot of the bands from the Chitlin Circuit days, like the Zap Troutmans, and I mean like those bands was fiercely competitive, but they do stuff like unplug your amp tubes and wipe out your keyboard patches on your keyboards, and just stuff like mean stuff that's gonna like cause your show. Prince didn't do stuff. He wanted to no fix all your shit. I want you to be able to be at the height of your talent, so I can whoop you good on your own. That thing. And so he made sure that we had the equipment, that we had the arrangements, and that we were good. He wanted everybody to sound great. That was the thing I loved about it. It was like, because when you just go like other bands are like doing all these cheating things, and because people used to do that. We used to open for like Club Nouveau and like all of the best Start Point and all of the groups in the '80s that we were coming up with, that we were working with. We worked with a lot of people like that, and they would do stuff like turn the subs off so your sound would be all thin, and like where the subs. And then when they show come on, it's like smoking. Like, oh, there's the the low frequency cabinets are on now. I mean, Prince didn't do that kind of stuff. He made sure. So when we would be out on the road, open it like playing with Carmen, Carmen would be we'd be on our bus, and Carmen would be like, Morris, Prince really likes you. He thinks you're funny. He says he's gonna get you in his band. I'm like, man, get out of town, man. Prince got Barbarella, he got Rosie. What the hell he want with me, man? Like this dude, psh. I was like, Carmen, go, man. Come on, man. Quit joking. Like that. And Maite would tell me too. When she came on deck, she's like, Morris, yeah, Prince likes you. And I'm just like, man, get out of town, man. Like, cause it didn't make sense. Cause he had the ringers. Barbarella was a beast. And so was Rosie. I mean, like, God, dog, you got a girl that can play and sing like that. You don't need me. So I just was like, yeah, that's all flattery and everything, but I didn't believe it too much until one day when after the tour I got back, and I got home, man, and I was and I don't know if I can say this on television, but I was kind of a music gear slut, and I would as soon as I get off the road. I'd go to the music store like a crackhead. Like as soon as I get off, my bank account wasn't even settled good before I was down at the Guitar Center, wherever the new coupe or whatever the place was, so I could buy me some new equipment. I just like a drug head, and I would running into
Before
all
you
these
go,
people.
can you talk about
Uh,
some of your early equipment that you bought? Like when you say I'm becoming a musician, can you at least, because I know there's some gear nerds out there, talk about just
yeah.
two of your first keyboards that you got.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this, man. I always was a huge fan of, and when I lived in Chicago, I didn't have much equipment that I had at my aunt's place, and I would go to the music store. I'd go to the Guitar Center, and I just would play there. So I was one of those irritating dudes that would be playing in the store, because I didn't have gear at home. So I'd be in the store playing. I wasn't Stairway to Heaven, but it was something. And it'd just be like, but the music guy, the manager at the store, I think his name was EJ. He loved me because he said, "Man, you selling more stuff than the guys that work here. Like
Wow.
you're in here playing this." And I knew all about the equipment because I couldn't afford any of it, but I would study about it. So the Moog had this crazy $8,000 keyboard, and I just would be all over it, man. Just like, and I'd show people that were coming in, and then they'd be buying them. And the dude told me, said, "Morris, you should come and work here." I'm like, "Man, I can't work here. I'm going to DeVry, man. It's tough. Computer school wasn't easy." I said, "I can't. I just come down here because I don't have any equipment, man. And this is kind of my way to kind of keep current on stuff and kind of mess with it." And I just like to, to do it. But then that ended up linking me into a very cool situation on the sidebar. A dude that, everybody would come in and they kind of do their thing. But this one guy came in and was like, "Yeah, man, you're pretty dope," and gave me his business card. And I was getting ready to leave. And I just heard like Shining Star coming out of the guitar section, just like sounded just like the record, like dum 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 dum. And I'm like, "Oh snap! Somebody like tearing this up." I walk over there, I go around the corner. It's this dude that gave me the card, and I said, "Bro, you're like, that's crazy, man. That guitar sounds great. That's me." So I'm like, "Man, that's dope." And uh, but to answer your question without getting off, but anyway, he took me to he told me to come to this rehearsal. I get there. Uh, Turns out it's Maurice White's family. It's his whole family. I'm looking at albums on the wall. I'm like, who are these guys? And it was just a band that Maurice's brother Ron was in. And that ended up linking me to Maurice White later, which is a story for later. But to get back to the gear thing, so I used to have I was a big Roland fan. I love Roland equipment. And so I had practically just about everything except for like a Jupiter 8 and Jupiter 6. I had a lot of Roland stuff, and I had some Korg stuff, like a DW 8000 and a 6000, and I had a Prophet 5, which was a Rev 1, which was an amazing keyboard, but it was a Rev 1, which means it was made by Satan, and it was stayed in the shop like all the time. This dude made so much money from me taking that keyboard into the shop. Like, yes, sir, I had an 880, 850, JD 800, JD 990, JD 880, XV 5080, like 1080. I had everything Roland practically made. Roland should I should have a statue at Roland, and I'm going to tell them this is a Roland right here, and this is one of my endorsements. But a Jupiter 8 was the top of the food chain for me. But I had everything. I still do. I still have a lot of rack equipment. I like vintage gear. I'm a vintage gear guy. I got a lot out in my shop. Because it's just like they're very unique instruments. JP 8000, just a ton of stuff, man. And then once I got into computer stuff, I'm just like, I just started really using virtual instruments and things like that. So it's just like I had everything, man. And like over the years, I had like at one time I think I had like 40 keyboards at my studio, like
Oh,
40. So it
wow.
was just like that's where my money went. I love sports cars. Like when I was a kid, I used to draw them and like in art and stuff, and motorcycles and like vans. Back in the '70s, used to have like the mystery wagon, like from Scooby Doo. I used to like to draw that kind of stuff. But when I got money, I didn't spend money on cars and stuff like that. I just thought it was cool to look at. But I converted all my money to equipment. I was a gearhead, and I just love equipment. So that was kind of my thing. But yeah.
Yeah. So I know you were talking about, so go ahead and back, you were talking about being in Carmen's band and making the transition from Carmen's band to being with Prince.
Yeah, so what happened is at the end of the tour, Rosie decided to leave, and unbeknownst to me, I get back, and I'm at the music stores, and I run into Tony, and no, I run into Sonny, and Sonny's like, "Hey, man, congratulations, man," and everything. I'm like, "For what?" He's like, "Well, you in the band," and I'm like, "Huh?" I'm like, um, "No." I'm like, "Okay, thank you." Like, and I go to the dude's store that I used to go to, this place called American Pro Audio, His name is Dick McKelly, and Dick, I was like on a first name basis with Dick. I go there, he's the owner of the store. I go in there, like buy up everything. Dick tells me, I go to the store, he's like, hey Morris, congratulations. He shake my hand. Hey, congratulations, man. Are you in the band with Prince? And I'm like, Dick, what? What are you talking about? Tony M calls me. And he's like, hey man, bro, like congratulations. And I'm like, what in the hell are all of y'all talking about? Like what? And so they like, oh well, Prince told me you was, and you know, kind of like when you say something, you kind of thinking, should I have said something like? And so I'm like going like, so finally, I go to the slam, and this is funny. As soon as I walk in, Gilbert Davison, y'all know Gilbert was one of the
Yes.
bodyguards, and Gilbert ran the club. Gilbert was waiting at the door. Like soon as I walked in, Gilbert's like, "Oh, Morris," like called me over, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, Gil?" And he says, "Hey, man," real frantic, like, "Hey, man, you want to be in the band? You want to be?" And I said, "I don't know, Gilbert, man." I said, "I heard Prince got these crazy contracts, man." I said, "I don't know, man." He said, "Don't worry about the contracts." He said, "Do you want to?" And I said, I got to think about it, man." And so he goes, "Okay, man." He said, "The thing is, I already told Prince you said yes." I'm like, well, Gilbert, I said, man, I don't. You shouldn't have did that, man. I like now. I'm like, my heart is like, boo, 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 boo. I'm like, wait a minute, bro. Like, you shouldn't have did that, man. Like, like that. And so, cause he knew when I got in there, I'm gonna see Prince, and Prince gonna be like, hey, like, hey, welcome aboard, all this kind of stuff, and I'm gonna be like, what the hell you talking about? And so he gonna know then that Gilbert did not do what he asked him to do. And so Gilbert wanted to cover his bases, make sure. And so, but the way Prince went about it was cool because when he saw me, he saw me, I came in. He sent the bodyguard dude over, and he said, "Boss wants to see you." I go over, and he said, and you know how you do his little tricky voice. He said, "Yeah, what's up, grandson? What's going on? He said, want a job? Need some work?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll be right over to cut that grass for you on Monday." And he just started laughing. He said, "No, man, I don't need, no, not the grass." I said, "I talk about the band." And I said, "Let me." I saw somebody. I think it was Cat Williams do this joke about, "Let me check my Palm Pilot," and he's just looking at his palm. So, "Let me check my Palm Pilot." I said, Prince, let me check my Palm Pilot. See, yeah, I think I'm free. I just looked at my hand and was like, "I think I'm free. Yeah, I'm free." He says, "All right." We do the little slap and daps, and I'm sitting there now, y'all. Check this out, man. I'm sitting there, and I am dying on the inside. I'm sitting there now. First of all, the slam was like always packed out. It was always full of people. Everybody was always looking at Prince. It's like he was like in a fishbowl. And so everybody would gather around him and just kind of stand there and kind of be like acting like they're not looking, but they looking, and just, and it's all night. Every day, everywhere we go, this is the way it is with Prince. And it can be like nobody there, but as soon as he sits down, he told me once, he said, "Morris, watch this." He said, "This is vortex energy." And he said it's just like it's like this, and then all of a sudden the people just kind of drift, and they just easing over and easing over. The next thing you know, there's a billion people around us, and they just looking at him. And so I'm sitting there with this dude, man, and he's sitting there talking to me and giving me daps and shaking my hand, and I'm over there like, oh my God, man, I'm tripping, man. I'm like, oh my God, this is bananas. This dude just offered me a job, and I'm tripping. So, and I'm sitting there with him like I'm somebody, like I'm like, yeah, we two rock stars in the pit. Yeah, what's happening? Like that. And so, but the crazy part is, when I get ready to leave, I'm going home now, back to my apartment, and I get in my car, man. Well, no, before I get to my car, I'm walking back. There was a parking ramp across the street from the club, and I had parked over there. I got about halfway to that parking ramp. That first half, I'm walking. I don't even know if my feet hitting the ground. I'm walking, and I'm just like, oh my God, man, I'm tripping. Then the second half of it, I'm like, oh my God, I've tricked these people into thinking I can do this job. I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna know I'm a fraud. Like they're gonna figure me out, and I'm gonna be the laughing stock of Minneapolis, man. Oh my God! So now I'm scared to death, man. I'm on halfway to the other half to the car. I'm like thinking, like, my God, like what have I done? This dude, they think I, oh my God, I'm in so much trouble. Sonny and Michael were enough to make me feel that way. I
Mm.
watched them do stuff so amazing that I just was like, this is way out of my pay grade, man. This Sonny and Mike both have perfect pitch. These dudes can hear grass growing. I mean, they
Wow.
like stupid. They just can hear like, you can sneeze and Sonny can tell you what key it's in. It's scary like how good they are. Um, and I'm thinking like, man, yeah, I'm not on this tip right here. And they're gonna figure it out. I did my little thing with Carmen and I wooed him, but what I failed to realize at the time, I came to learn over time. Prince was extraordinarily good at assessing what everybody's skill sets were and what they were good at. And he already had assessed. I probably didn't have to audition because I think I did get my audition at his birthday, the first birthday jam I did with them on his birthday when I was with Carmen's band in Germany, and he let my band play with him on the first Prince jam that we did, and we, he had my band come up, and the drummer couldn't follow instructions, and some people just tried some things and it didn't go well, and so he was like, okay, all right, well, let's get the NPG back up, shall we? I'm like, gosh, okay, you guys come on back, you guys head on out, and then he said,
So he gave y'all
except
the
for you,
Bud.
Morris.
He
He
gave
said,
y'all the Bud Light treatment.
man, we got the Bud Light kick out, man. It was, but what he did was he told me and Jason Peterson. He said, "You two stay." He said, "You two hang, just stay." And then I was like, "Oh," but he said, "Yeah, Michael and Sonny, everybody, you Levi, all y'all come on back." And I stayed on Tommy's or Rosie's rig. I remember which one. I think Prince was playing one side and I was playing the other side. And Prince decided to do uh, Get Off club version.
Mm.
And it was crazy because I had learned that song from just because I liked it. I thought it was dope because it just like Steve Silk Hurley was when I was living in Chicago, Steve Hurley was like a house DJ. Everybody knew Steve Hurley, and that was like a homeboy kind of thing. And I was like, oh, Steve Hurley did this Get Off mix, and so it's just like kind of a connection to Chicago. I learned it. I liked it. It's kind of had a thing where it's like a So it's like that kind of a vibe. And
Yep.
and so I learned, and Prince said, we're gonna do club version of Get Off. I'm like, I know that one. I know that one. I'm like, ah. So it's cool. So man, he goes into it, man. They killing this mug, man. And I fall right into it with that lick right there. Uh, it's like I'm telling you, man, God set me up so tough on that to where that just so happened to be the song that I learned, and that just so happened to be the song that he called out, and I played it like I've been playing it for like a minute because I just knew that's not a really simple chord structure right there. I had to like work that out because it's such a weird thing. And it's weird. So for me to fall right in and do it, it's just like I was dope or something already off the case. But that wasn't the case. Well, it was the case. I'm learning. I'm learning to talk myself up. But that was like, I think then he knew like, yeah, this dude's gonna be all right, man. And when I a couple other things that happened on that same night. When Prince had called me, yes, ma'am, Miss Vanity. The planners lined up, God lined up for me, and just pushed it on over. Prince invited me to his hotel. It was so funny. We did that little after show, and Prince called me like at my hotel, and he's like, "Hey, man, you want to come by my uh, room and check out this movie thing?" Now, first of all, man, I'm in a little opening band, man. I'm not in the MPG. I'm just a little Ruda Poot in Carmen's band, and the other thing is like Prince was cool, but I didn't know him super cool like that, and so. To be honest, I was like, when he called me, like, you want to come to my room? I was like, can Greg come too? 'Cause I don't know. I was like, okay, can Greg come? So he was like, sure. He was like, yeah, it's cool. And so, man, we went over to his room, man, and this room was bananas. He had this whole setup. We watched the Three Chains of Gold movie, and he played the whole album for like the symbol record. It was done. All this stuff was done. I'm like, what is this? He said, it's the next album. I'm like, the next album? We own Diamonds with the. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm already, man, I'm over Diamonds and Pearl, but we own it right now. How you over it? I'm like, okay. So so we all in there watching this thing, man, and I'm doing funny, and I'm killing him, right? Like I'm a comedian. I'm killing him. We in his bedroom. The whole NPG is in his bedroom watching this movie. It ain't like it, and you like don't try to think of it like a hotel room you've been in. It was the presidential suite bedroom. So it was like a house unto itself. He had a foo-foo in there, it was pillows and pearls and diamonds and shit everywhere. It was stuff. And so it was like his bed had poles on it and a top. And pillows and stuff. So me and Greg, he said, you and Greg can sit right here on the end so you can be right in the center so you can see everything. I'm like, okay, cool. So we sitting on the bed and watching the movie. Prince just flirting around doing his thing, He's like, you guys want something to eat? I'm like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, man, I don't know. I could stand a little something. He goes over to the phone and calls this girl. He said, can you bring some sandwiches and some? I was like, oh no, Prince. I said, oh bro, don't call nobody, wake them up. I'm good, bro. Don't do it. He said, it's fine. That's what they do for a living. It's fine. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, got this girl up in the middle, and I'm so sorry. Like, yo, that's crazy. Anyway, this girl about 20 minutes later, she come with like sandwiches that like cut like footballs. It was like, like it was like Costco. I was like, damn, this is crazy. So he doing all this stuff. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Because I'm tripping, man, because this is crazy. Then Prince, he's walking around, and he goes and gets in the bed, like behind me and Greg. He gets up there, and he's kind of sitting with his leg, Indian style, with his legs crossed on all these pillows. And I just look back at him like this, man. I look at Greg and say, hey, man, we in the bed with Prince, man. And everybody just fell out, including Prince. He's like, and he got right out of the bed. He was like, okay. I said, but think about it. I said, a lot of people would like to say they in the bed with Prince. We in the bed with Prince, man. I'm like, there he is. He right. And he was dying, man. He was like, oh my God, this Negro is crazy, man. He's like, he's crazy. And we watched the movie, and I remember saying to myself, Prince, this is amazing, man. This 3 rings of brass you got. He said 3 chains of gold. I said, yeah, this 3. I said, this is dope, man. You on to something. You on to something. So he was like, man, I think at the end of that whole situation, and then I brought my church thing into it, Seeley, what I did to kill him, this was the coup de grace. When I hit this on him, this was the final nail, and I think this what glued me into the NPG situation. I went in, and Prince had went through all of this rigmarole, man. He went through all of this rigmarole to bring in a piano. He had to have, it was in his writer, he had to have a grand piano in every one of these rooms. Well, this is Germany, man. A lot of the European places, they have very small doorways and spiral. They had to take a pane of this glass out of this window and hoist with a big giant crane to the penthouse this piano, this grand piano. They put it on a rope and put it on a hoist and then stuck it through the window, and they had to put the window back just for about 2 days, man. Wow. They had to go through all this rigmarole just so he could have a piano in this room. We walk out, man, it's like 7 in the morning. It's daylight, it's outside now. It was like dark when we came in, now the sun's up. I walk out first. I mean, you know how you walking out, this the benediction, we all walking out. Yeah, man, y'all, that was cool, man. Y'all have a good day. Okay, man, we see y'all in the next city. We riding different buses. So I see the piano. I go over to the piano, man. I open it up, and everybody just stops. They're like, oh, what's up? What are you about to do? And I do this whole thing. Yeah. And I go, if? And then I just get up and leave. And then they start laughing again, because you're supposed to go, if when you give the best of your service. And so I did that, and he was like, okay, that's it. this dude, he's good. Like he's good. We gonna keep him. And it was, and I think at that point it was like lights out, man. And I think by the time I got home, and when that happened in the club, I was just like, I think at that point, Prince knew what he falls short at. I will beat the rest of it out of him. So he knew that I will get the rest. I will get the rest of what it is, you know, and in spite of my own shortcomings of what I thought my abilities were, Prince was able to see beyond that and really, you know, really know, you know, and he explained it to me. He explained it to me later. That he said Morris, you know, because Prince really like Michael Jordan was his favorite. Like, you know, Michael Jordan was like Prince's equivalent in basketball, and Prince loved basketball, and so there was a lot of basketball analogies. And one, I think one of the greatest ones was that he said, Morris, if you look at this band like the Bulls, if you look at us like you know, I'm Michael Jordan, and you're what's my name,
Scottie
Dennis
Pippen.
Rodman. You're gonna pull the rebound down. I'm gonna shoot the three. You kick it out. I'm gonna do this. And he said we all got a part to play, man. And Barbarella was like the Herbie Hancock. He was the Chick Corea in the band. You know, I brought the church elements. I brought the organ thing, and I brought these. And so Prince knew how to use you in the spot in the role that we were strongest at and build around that. So Tommy took a lot of the solos. I didn't take a whole lot of solos, and I didn't really care to, you know, because I wasn't nearly as good as Tommy was in that regard. But I like technical things. I like playing samples. I like using my technical skills, and that's what I told when you ask about the gear thing. When I got in the band, I told Prince, I said, "Man, your gear sucks," and he's like, "Well, fix it." And because I said, well, and he said, I said because your samplers are old. I had done a publishing deal, and I bought this Roland S7 700 sampler, and it's like $8,000. And I had an MPC, and I had all of this high end equipment. And I told Prince, your gear shouldn't be worse than mine. My gear shouldn't be better than yours. And he told me to fix it. So I had Skip, this guy named Skip Johnson. God rest his soul. He just died recently. Skip, he said, I said, Skip, he said to match all of my gear with what you have here. And so he allowed me to go and buy for my rig that I was using for him what I basically had at home, which for me that was great because I could do my work at home and then come match it with my studio, my setup at Paisley. And so that, and when he found out, because I was bragging, man, I was like, yeah, Prince, see, mine can hold up this many samples. Didn't it do this? Did I do it? And Prince was like, he was just doing it. You know the meme when somebody started looking and all of the mathematical equations start going like this? That was Prince. Prince was like, okay, if you can do that, then you can do this and that. And then I was like, but that's a lot. That's a lot. And he said, yes, so no, you can do that, and then you can do this, and then if you can do that, then you can do this. And I was like, oh my God, what did I do, man? I just got myself in a lot of trouble because now he's pushing the technology. And Bobby Z told me one time when he came over and checked it out, he said, when I showed him what I was doing, he says, man, this is what Prince wanted us to be doing back then. Is what y'all doing now. He wanted that back in the 80s. And I said, yeah, but what I'm doing now ain't enough for now. We need whatever he got 10 years. I said, we need that. Because he's already maxed out the stuff I'm doing. So he's already figured that out and how to take it to the next level. And so, you know, that was just bananas,
I
man.
I know you said that Barbarella took a lot of the solos. I do need to tell you that not only my favorite Mr. Hayes moment, but one of my favorite Prince live moments happened at the New York Palladium when you took a solo on Johnny
Oh, yeah.
and you were doing the keyboards with the talk box and Prince was
Oh, yeah.
saying, tell you, look, I'm just gonna say this the only way I know how to say it. When you did that, that was the most cafe and most church-ish mashed in together that I have ever heard in my life. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
just
man.
always wanted to tell you that somebody who's from Clarksdale, Mississippi, who's from the home of the blues, who saw
Yeah.
B.B. King when I was 6 years old, that moment in the New York Palladium when you took that solo, for me, is one of the most quintessential soloing black moments in the history of Prince live? And I know Prof Duff want to go, but just could you talk a little bit about either that moment or some kind of soloing when you were doing that and how those kind of things would come to life?
Yeah, I mean that was cool because again, being the gear junkie that I was, I came across this piece of gear from Core called a DVP-1, which is basically a vocoder. There's two things that we used to use with Prince. We'd have a talk box, which is basically what Roger Troutman would use, and then we had the vocoder, which was I used one of the other keyboards as carrier, and it had its own carrier, so that you could. I just had to put a microphone in it and pull up a patch and then just do my thing. And man, Prince loved this thing. We did Hide the Bone with some of that stuff. He would we just, and so he would let me mess with that vocoder, man, and that thing was just greasy because then I'm just talking into it and playing what I'm talking, and and it was bananas. I had a few shows like that. I remember we couldn't find Tommy one night. Prince wanted to do an after show in Germany, and this is we had done the Prince Com record, and we went to this after show thing, and we couldn't find Barbarella. So me and Michael B and Sonny and Prince ended up doing it just us, and Prince, for I think the only time we ever played solo
Oh,
that
wow.
song,
Yeah.
and it just was me on a DX7
Oh wow.
and Prince singing this song, and man, I was like freaking out because I'm like, man, I don't know this song, but I just went to church. It's like he's singing it, and I just start playing some changes, and then he sings over it. And Prince came up to me after that show. He's like, Morris, that was freaking great. That was like Michael and Sonny, like, man, that was dope, man. That was the bomb, man. And I'm just like sitting there sweating BBs because I'm like, I don't know this. We never played it before. But Prince just said, I'm gonna go into it, and he just said, you just. And Prince told me after that, he said, Morris, I talked to Kathleen Battle, and you can do stuff like this, like you can do stuff with her, and you could. I said, Kathleen Battle, like Prince always saw the largest things in us, and that there was no walls, there was no mountains that we couldn't go over. Prince didn't look at things in a limited version at all. And that was one of the greatest things about Prince, is just like his vision, and the fact that he don't take no L's, man. This dude is not taking no L's. He's only taking W's. And so from you and from himself, that's just the way it was, man. And so he believed in you, and he tell you could do it, man. And you just had to, yes, ma'am, Kathleen Battle, put your hands down. And that's what he said, man. Put your hands down, Morris. Put them down, and float with it, man. Go with it. And it give you that space to be able to really just fly, and that's what he did. When Prince was nervous about doing things, he was never nervous, because I remember my mom. Me and Prince were talking about Puff one time, and after he had got off from this thing, and we were talking about it. And he was like, "Oh, this is the devil stuff." And I said, "You be careful, Prince. My mom thought you was the devil." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, man. You was on American Bandstand, and you was doing all this." And she said, "How many instruments you play?" She said, "Ooh, that boy is the devil. I don't know what's wrong with him." And I told him that. And I said, "But Prince, I told my mom, you weren't the devil. You're a very nice guy. You're a nice young man." I said, and so I'm telling this dude this, and I say, but I said, but you got to be careful because you don't know how people think of you. And I said, "No, Mom, he's not a devil. He's Prince is a sweetheart guy. He's a good guy. Blah 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 blah." And my mama said, "But then he's all right with me. Then if you tell me he is okay, he's okay. Like that kind of thing." And it was really interesting, that whole time and that whole thing of dealing with him and like all of the situations like that. But Prince was always that guy. He was going to always let you just fly, and that you could do anything, and that you could just not limit yourself. You know.
So you were with Prince for 20 years, which is a very long time. We could talk to you for 24 hours and we still could talk more. So I really want to kind of like transition to
Sure.
talk about Exodus. And the first question that I have about Exodus is that there are obviously a lot of skits and interludes on Exodus. Can you talk to us about recording them? And because there were so many of them, how did that happen?
Okay. Okay. I'm just for this is historical. This is for the record. Okay. We were kind of bothered. Okay. We did a couple of these skits and it was cool, right? But Prince got happy. Like he got real happy with it. And we came back and it was like 82 skits. I'm like, what is all of this? It's like the whole thing was skits. And he had just stayed all night and did all these skits. And I'm just like, cause we did a few where it's like me with on the Star Trek thing and the mashed potato girl was Sunny and all of that stuff. But then it just was he's doing the Italian guy. I'm like, what and I'm in the studio and I'm like, what is all of this? What did he do? He's got 400 skits into the whole half of the album is skits. I'm like, this is crazy. But it was funny though. And it was cool. But just like I remember when I did Rainbow Children, it's the same thing. I showed him this. I could make my computer read the text. And so and he thought, oh, that's cool. Let's do that. And so he got it and then he just went off with it. It just like he got it, he gone now, man. And so it was really funny. But I did like the that was the legendary part I think of that record is that it took on a persona and it had this whole thing. It was like P-Funk almost. The artistry was like that, the art was like that, and the music was bananas. The way that record even happened. We were just rehearsing we were rehearsing in the sound stage. And I had walked in, and Sonny and Mike and Barbarella were already on the stage, and I was just standing by the door, and Sonny and Mike were just playing like, and Michael was playing everything Sonny doing it like, just every note was like, and Prince walks in with that thing that he does. He walks in, what's happening? And I said, oh man. I said, Sonny and Mike up here trying to trick each other, like they're playing some stuff so crazy. I'm like, man, this is bananas, Prince. It's like, it's crazy. They're like trying to trick each other. Like they're so tight, they can't even shake each other. I said, it should be like a record. He said, then we should make a record. There's a phone on the wall on the back of the door, on the door as you walk in the sound stage. It's like behind this curtain. He goes behind there and he picks up the phone and calls Ray or Magoo and them guys. He said, send the guys over to come get all the equipment out and take everything to Studio A and bring up some tape. We're going to start tracking. So get everybody move the equipment over to the room. And it's just like, God, dog, just like that. He make a call and people's bodies start moving and people start taking the gear out. Just a whole gear shift. Everything just changes gears and moves everything into the studio. Then once we get in there and get everything set up, it takes a couple of hours to move everything over. He says, okay, we're going to do this record. And he just starts calling out songs. Like he'll say, Kia D, Michael, play me a boom, ba, boom, boom, ba. And then, Better Jack, bitch.
Wow.
And he said, give me a line for that. And then you just hit a line and he'll just, give him the beat, Sonny get a bass line. And then from that point, he's just calling changes. It'll be like we're in D and then go to the 4, go to the 5 or whatever and play the line. The outtakes on this, I hope one day they release the outtakes because it's like he's just calling songs. He does this for like 8 songs. Just like he's just off the top of his head, he just calls them out, and then some of the other stuff, Cherry Cherry, and some of the other songs he did on his own, like just in the studio, he'll just put them together and do it. But like all the other ones, it's just like calling changes and calling solos. Let everybody get a solo, and then just put that stuff out. I hope they put Exodus out. With the outtakes and some of the stuff because it's amazing to see how he works and see how his mind works and see the incredible genius You know, it's a word that everybody throws around. I'm here to tell you, it's the real shit. It's Prince is a freaking genius. That's the only way I know how to do it. I saw him do things that I just went like, bro, how do you do it? He says, I don't know how anybody else doesn't know how to do it. You know, I don't understand that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm hopeful that in all of those things will be brought to light as to the genius of Prince and the outtakes. We used to listen to outtakes. I remember he used to play like Little Richard and some of the other ones that we would listen to. And just you gain a lot of insight from the artist and from what the process was like. You know, just like when we were doing some of the Crystal Ball stuff that ended up on Crystal Ball. There was one Calhoun Square
Yeah.
when Prince is talking to us. He said, listening to the drummer shouldn't be like work. Two,
Mhm.
three, baby, boom, 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 just right on cue. And it's just like you can't. I mean, what are you gonna do? He was amazing, just amazing.
So one of the things I know that you did in this era, there were two parade samples. One was like a Dream Factory sample, and one of I think it was in DJ Gets Jumped, and then in the live shows there's All My Dreams. And I know that you had to like get these samples and things. What was it specifically about these two parade? Like, was he trying to make a statement? You know, because I know there was that the prince is dead and he was transitioning to an unpronounceable symbol, because he could have integrated any sample, you know, of his own music in this time, but it was like two parade tracks. Do you have any insight into that?
No, what I do know is that Prince was a master for like recycling some things. Like I noticed early on, like in like around the time I came in during when I was there working for the Graffiti Bridge movie. I remember hearing on the Times album the latest fashion, and then this other track that Prince had basically used that same track
Mhm.
and used it for something else. There was Prince had multiple songs that he had messed with, put it in the vault, bring it back out. I think what is right there toward the end when I was leaving, he did this one song. He had different iterations of that one, so he was very clever as to how he would pull these songs. My summertime thing, thank you. That one. And so he would do that. He would just like pull out some of the stuff that he did for that when we did, and some of that stuff ended up on Crystal Ball, like the one you had named earlier. But Dream Factory and like some of the other stuff. And so it was just like he would have his own thinking. It wasn't always apparent to me why he did it. He'd just tell me he wanted me to grab some samples of some things, and I just my thing was what you want me to do, and then if you want me to grab it, I'll go get it. I didn't necessarily know what the connection was, and I didn't know a lot of that material. I wasn't like really super. I was a Prince fan, of course, but as far as being like into the vault and like all of the stuff, that's the reason why to this day, when Prince played those songs in the car after he told me this whole Purple Rain story about he's got these songs better than Purple Rain, I'm like, man, get the fuck out. Like, come on, man. Like, come on. Like, it's Purple Rain. That's the zenith of your career, man. I said, Prince, I told him what I'm telling you. I said, Prince, that's the zenith of your career. You telling me you got better than Purple Rain? I'm like, how you looking? Come on, man. Like, for real. Like, and he played me these four tracks or four or five tracks, and I was just like throwing up. I'm like, oh my God, Prince, we're back. I'm like them two dudes in like Mortimer and them dudes on
Abner, Abner.
we are back, Mortimer. You know, like you can put these out, man. We'll be back on the charts, man. He said, what do we mean we? Like, we ain't putting out nothing. This is my kids. I said, you ain't got no kids. So it's like, I was like, that's crazy, like, but I don't remember what those songs were. He was playing them for me, and I'm just like, I wasn't thinking ahead. Like, one day, Morris, you're gonna need to know what these songs are. You better write them down, and you better know because somebody's gonna ask you. And I'm like, man, I ain't, and I'm in the moment, baby. I'm in the moment. I'm like in the car, like in the limo. We like, and I'm like, man, this. And I'm like, what? It's like, what? This is what you. Come on, man. And then one to the bing, pow, pow, pow. And I'm like, bruh, come on, man. So I'm throwing up, man. I'm in the car dying, man. I'm like, I'll never disbelieve anything you tell me, Prince. I'd like, because I really wrote you off for crazy on this, man. I wrote you off for crazy, but this was bananas. And I don't remember not a single, like, what were those songs? People ask me, what were the songs? Do you know what it is? If you heard it again, could you recognize it? Could you, do you know what it was? And I'm like, no, man. I just was tripping because it just was like he said it was. He said Purple Rain was the B side, and I was like, "You're crazy. That's not B-side stuff." He said, "You think I'm gonna give Warner Brothers my best stuff? I got the A stuff over here."
Oh my God. All right. So
Damn.
we started off the day with a presentation called Who the F is Tora Tora? Did you have any in like when this happened? What were your thoughts about Tora Tora? That's my first question. And then sometimes I would see in this is like this promotional flyer with the hat on, but then I would see you with a similar hat and I've seen you with the scarf, live. So can you talk to us about Tora Tora and how that came to be? If Chris talked to you about it, or did he just show up one day? Talk about that.
Okay, so I think this whole Tora business, which was hilarious, and anyway, because it's like what I'm like, because you understand me, I'm a Southern kid from down here in these woods. I'm not like the Hollywood mind. I'm not thinking like what what are we gonna do to like for the media and for this stuff. I'm just like, bro, I'm a keyboard player. I'm doing this thing, so I don't necessarily. And again, and this is my fault because I was too close to him. I started working with Prince in like in my late 20s, like, and I'd been around, and so I wasn't thinking about history. I wasn't thinking about like the aftermath of all of this stuff that I was doing. I'm just in the moment again. I'm not. We don't have smartphones. You're living in the moment. You're not recording anything. You're not. You're in the moment. And so I wasn't thinking like, what does Tora Tora mean? And he's like, I looked at everything like he's trying to get around this record label stuff.
Right.
This was a lot of things that was happening with Warner Brothers. We were doing things. He wanted to do this MPG stuff, like these albums. He wanted them to be off the grid from them, a creative way that we could do stuff without the label being like super involved. We did a separate deal with Edo Records for the MPG album. And then the Warner Brothers got into it, and then they gave us some money, and then they wanted it back. It just was a lot of politics and a lot of crazy that I didn't necessarily understand. And when Prince would kind of explain it to me, things things have to, look, I don't get down with the Hollywood. I shoot straight, and I want to know like them, whoever's shooting now. I shoot like that. And so this is the South. You will hear gunshots and stuff outside. It's just
Yes.
normal.
That's
It's
right.
fine. It's Trump country. So anyway, so I'm just like, I don't know, like, what does this all mean? Like when because I would ask him stuff like when he came back when he was dissembled. And he came back, and I'm watching all this stuff on television. Like a lot of stuff I would see happen on TV first, and then Prince come back to Paisley, and I'm like, Prince, what's all of this name business? Like, what's all this? And he's like, well, I was looking out on the water, and then I'm like, oh Lord, here we go. So, so like, he's like, I was looking out on the water. I was in Puerto Rico, and I just had a vision of, I'm like, Prince. Prince, come on, man. What are you doing? I I'm like old school. I can put it together. I'm like, man, you trying to be Homer for the Iliad, man. You saying you nobody, and so they can't come and find you, and you can be nobody, man. What you doing? What you doing? And it was like, he's telling me these things, and I'm just like, okay, so we got the Tora thing now. So you got a mask on. So I'm thinking this is a way to kind of circumvent the Warner Brothers portion of this, and we do this as the NPG, and you're this ghostly member that they can pretty much you make it that's you, but it's not you. So it's kind of a way for him to kind of get around the whole thing, and that sort of thing. I remember we went to play this thing in London, man, which was killing. It was banana sandwiches. Like we went over there and did the White Room, and it was just crazy. Sonny's doing his thing. Sonny's at top level, just singing, and he had this stuff on it. He's Tora Tora, and that's how they introduced him. That's how the whole thing went. And I just learned to stay out of the crazy. I just like this is what do I need to do? I'm gonna do that, and then you figure out the record business crazy, and you do what you need to do with that. And I'm just gonna be the faithful keyboard player slash soldier, and whatever we gonna do, man, I got your back. We gonna do it, and we gonna kill it, and that's what it is. I wasn't necessarily had that zest for the underbelly of why everything happened. I learned in a lot of cases not to ask questions because if I caught Prince on the wrong day, then it's going to be a problem for some of that stuff. So I just kind of organically would just kind of find out things or just kind of see how it played out, like in whichever way needed to happen in order for me to understand it. But all I really needed to understand is, do I have my shit together as far as this music? Do I have this happening? And then if I do, then everything's going to flow well. It's going to go well. And so then it would be cool. And it's just one of his many things. Prince was always thinking of new stuff to do. And it's just these characters. And, when I did my whole little Montalvo Stewart thing, Prince was like, man, Morris, I'm going to do a movie with that in there. I said, that's okay. Just don't give me no kissing roles. It ain't going to be no, I ain't putting on no dress. And we not don't give me, I ain't got to kiss nobody that's a dude, right? And so I just like, no, man. I mean, I'm cool for some comedy, but I got a line because I ain't into acting that heavy. So I'm just, I got a line. That's all. So
So
I'm just
did
gonna stay over here.
did you and Sonny and Michael and Tommy, did you guys ever talk like, amongst yourselves when Prince wasn't there
Oh
about things
yeah,
that were going on and how you guys would react to it? And could you talk a little bit about that if you could?
oh yeah. We'd be like, man, that nigga crazy, man. No, man. But no. I mean, look. There was always, the thing you have to keep in mind is, like, we had a situation called ABC, artist, band, crew,
Mm,
or administration, band, crew. We tried to limit our time in dealings with the administrative part of Prince, that part. We didn't, we had accountants, we had lawyers. We didn't like vibe with those people. They were all people that worked there. We learned to just let them do their thing, and we stay in our lane. We do our thing, and they do their thing. Prince was in all three of those kind of categories. He kind of flowed between those things. And so, yeah, when the band would get together, when we'd be like, I remember one time when Prince had been real rough with everybody, and it's like for like a whole week. Because usually Prince, when we first started whatever project it is, he'd be super intense and super hard right at the beginning, like first couple 2 3 days, and it's like, "Urgh," and you'd be going home like, oh my God, Jesus, what are we doing? Like, it's crazy. And then it'll cool out once everybody kind of get it. He's beat up on everybody, and everything's flowing. Then it's cool. This one is like all week. And so we all up in the catwalk up in the back, we talking, we like, man, dude, tripping, man. What? Dude, he tripping, man. Tripping. And we were yeah. And one of the cats was like, yeah, man, I heard he was doing drugs or something like this. And I said, really? Do you think that's happening? And then I was like, did you say anything about it to him? I'm like, nah, man. I mean, like we talking amongst each other, and I thought I thought to myself, like, wow, this is serious. Like, if he's doing something like that, that could be dangerous. And the dude could check out or something. And so we had a girl named Therese that was working there. Therese was like the man next to the man. If Prince had a hole in his pants, you tell it to Therese, and then she tell him he got a hole in his pants. And then she had to tell him. It's her job, you know, that kind of thing. And I told her I needed to talk to him. And this is in '94. I only been there I came in at the end of '92, played my first hit in '93 with them at Glam Slam. I mean at the Slam, and um, and so I was just like, bro, I mean, if he's doing something and something happens to him, I don't have a job anyway, so I may as well say something. I may as well say what's up. I'm from down the way. I'm like, I, I was kind of. No, I used to say that. I used to say I'm kind of stupid because of knowing what I know. I could have got fired, but I don't care. I called Therese and said, "Hey, man, I need to talk to Prince." She's like, what about?" I said, "It's personal. I just need to talk to him." So she called him, and he said, "He'll see you in the morning, before rehearsal, whatever." And I said, "Cool." So I get home, man. I'm like, "God, dog, man, I did it now, so I got to go through with it." So I get up and go down there, um, and he's walking, pacing around. And long story short, I just said, "Hey, man, um, word on the street." I didn't say who said it or nothing like that. I just said, "Word on the street is you messing with drugs." I said, "If you are a Prince, your slip is showing, bro." I said, "If not, I don't mean to come in here, um, saying a bunch of stuff and casting aspersions or whatever. I don't mean to come in here, out of place, out of pocket. I just say, but if it's something happening, man, maybe you want to check yourself or whatever." And he's like, "No, no, no, nothing like that happening, man. You're a new guy, and I'm a taskmaster, and we got a lot going on, blah blah blah, all of this stuff." And I said, "Cool, man. Well, okay, my bad. I'm like, it's all good. I just wanted to, I wouldn't have said nothing, but you've been acting real different." And I said, "Man, I just want to make sure that everything's cool." He said, "No, it's cool. Head on down." So I left, and he didn't come back down that day or for about a week after. And then I was like, "Oh," because we just kept running through stuff. I usually get instructions about what to do. So I come back the following week, and when I walk in, I'm late. First of all, which, and I went to all the time, but this day I was, and then the phone, the intercom come, the Morse come to my office. I'm like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "God dang it, I'm in trouble." So I go put my stuff down with the guys in the room. They already there ahead of me, and I'm just like joking. I'm like, "Well, y'all, it's been good, man. I enjoyed the time. It's been fun." I'm doing like that, but on the real, I'm like, if you want to see, why you want to see me? Like I'm in trouble. So I put my stuff down and go up to his office, and he's pacing around again, and he just tells me, he said, "Yeah, man, I took some time off." He says, "I never, since I've been a professional, I've never taken a week off and not pick up my guitar and not write a song. I've never done that before." And he said, "I want to thank you for coming in and saying what you said and all of this." But and I said, "Yeah, it's cool." And he says, "What are y'all doing?" I said, "Man, I'm a little late. I just got in. I just walked in, man. I'm just about to set up shop." He said, "All right, head down and I'll be down in a minute." I'm like, phew, I'm out, you know. And I think that turned the tide for me with Prince. I think it was like, I think he realized like I took a real chance coming out. I've seen people go home for less. One guy that you're going to have on talking to, he'll probably have some stories, but uh, I, that was I could have got, I could have ended up at home. And if it had been the case, so be it. I mean, and like I said, I thought I did the right thing. And, um, um, you know, I had to say what I had to say because I felt like if anything happened, man, I'd be derelict in duty if I didn't call him out or say something. I couldn't forgive myself for it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to be mindful of your time, but there are
Oh,
three
yeah.
questions I really want to ask,
Okay.
if it's okay.
Sure.
The first question is, talk to us about the endorphin machine live. And when we spoke over the phone, the story that you told me about like just transporting this thing is bananas. Can you share us any story you have about the endorphin machine?
Well, I hope this is a 21 plus audience we have here today
It
because our stage was a bunch of sexual organs, penises and wombs and vaginas and all kinds of stuff. That's what it was. Let's just keep it 100. Uh, I was like, when I came in and saw this thing, I was like, it was like a dystopian dream of Wizard of Oz. I was like, what in the hell? And you're looking at it and you're like, hey, that's a, oh snap, and that's a, oh snap. And it was just, and then it had this whole soundboard in the middle. Prince wanted to do sound from in the middle of the board, and I'm just like, oh my God, we are in so much trouble. Like, what is this? And it was so funny because when we went on the tour, that setup had no right angles on the parts. Like it wasn't like they only broke down in single parts, and so that big giant, phallic symbol that was there was like you take one of them off and it's like 20 feet long,
Mm.
and you put that in a truck by itself. Just a couple of them in one truck, and we had 18, 18 wheelers, like 16, 17 of these 18 wheelers. That is crazy. You can't take that much infrastructure out for the stage. So the stage started disappearing a piece at a time. Our accountant decided, okay, we got to lessen the amount of trucks we have. So we're gonna start hiding some of the pieces, like of the thing. And so we playing the show, and every day I'm looking at the stage, and I'm going like, where's the vagina thing at? And I'm like, where's that at? Because it was here yesterday, and now there's some sticks sticking up where it used to be. And so, so, so I'm like that until it finally got to a place to where Prince was looking at the stage. He goes, where's my stage? Where's the stage? And it was like just like a shadow of what it used to be. And he just told the production, he said, can I have my stage back, please? Can I get the stage? And we was like, uh-oh. Somebody's in trouble now. Because he's just like, what the? It just started dawning on him because he's playing with his back to it. And I guess, but we sitting there like, I'm watching the setup area. I know all of this thing. And I'm like, okay, they're sneaking parts out. And they're doing it real sneaky like, like it's just it's just like Legos. It's like, can we do it without putting the other Lego in there and just have that Lego sticking out by itself? So he sees that part, but he don't see the back piece. And it was like, yeah, he figured it out. He just stood in front of the stage one night. It was just like, where's my stage? Like, can I have the stage, please? And it was funny, man. It was, man. He kept walking in and out of the vagina. And that's a statement you don't see every day. Oh my God, I love this thing. This is crazy. Maybe one day what I'll do is I'm gonna get an animator. We got all this AI. I'm gonna get an animator, and I'm gonna animate myself telling all these stories because there's so many for 20, almost 20 years. Everybody said over 20. It was the better part of 20 years around. But I took the little time off to be with Maceo. But it's so many wonderful and not so wonderful stories. I mean, but the thing is, it was all great. I'm honored to have been in the role that I've been in and for that length of time. I'm going to try to be succinct. Let's get to the other questions. I'm going to try to get it all done.
Of course. So do you mind talking about the Days of Wow video when Prince is shaving your head? I always felt so uncomfortable watching that. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, it was really terrible because no, it was cool. What happened was we were shooting around that time. We were doing a lot of recordings, and we had a dude named Paris Patton that was around. Paris was like doing direction on some of the stuff we were shooting at the time. And one of the things Prince would do a lot when we were shooting a lot of videos, and there's a lot of stuff in the vault. He'll do something and then we'll be done with it, but then later he'll decide he wants to do some pickup shots. And for anybody that knows, when you do anything that you have to do continuity, you have to make sure that if my hair this week was a bouffant and it's standing up like a typhoon, like we used to wear our hair back in the day, I told Prince I wanted to like shave my hair and do like a bald headed thing. And so I asked him first. I said, Prince, I'm thinking about cutting all my hair off, man, and doing a bald. And he said, oh, that'll probably be cool. Then he said, oh, he says, but I said, so is that a cool? You gonna shoot anything else before I do it? Because once you cut your hair off, you can't put it back. He's got to grow back. So I don't want to mess up anything that he may want to shoot. So I just wanted to make sure that continuity wouldn't be messed up with the film. And he says, oh no, it's fine. I think we got everything. And then he thought, and he said, take Paris with you and have him film you getting your hair cut. And I'm like, okay. I'd take him over, just at my I used to go to this hair shop with these girls that cut hair, and they do my hair. They would do it all bouffanty up. They hook it up. Like the girls who used to do his hair, and so I said, sure, I'd take him over. And then, but before that was like a weekday, and I was going to do it like on the weekend. I had I went to this was before the NBA All Star thing that we did when we did that whole video. I went to the Slam and Prince was in there with Ahmad Rashad, and he was sitting with Ahmad, and there's a bunch of people that was in town getting ready for that whole deal. And Prince has this idea. He says, and so I come to the club. He's talking. Prince is here. Ahmad Rashad is on the other side of him. And he introduced me. He said, "Ma, this is my keyboard player, Morris and whatnot." Then he goes, Morris. He said, I got an idea. He says, instead of you cutting it, he says, why don't you let me cut your hair at the thing?
Yep.
Now, instantly, I am harking back to Brown Mark telling me one time when I was working with Brown. Brown said, hey, Morris, whatever you do, don't ever let Prince cut your hair. Like, why the hell would Prince cut my hair, bro? Like, what? Like, why would Prince he said, dude, he cut my hair for like whatever video that was. And he said he jacked me up, man. He's got my hair looking like this, man. And I said, Brown, why would the hell would you let Prince cut your hair, bro? like I'm like, that's crazy. So I'm like, I said, hey, wait a minute, Prince. I said, Mark Brown told me, he said, don't ever let you cut my hair. He said, well, how can I mess it up? You're going to shave it off, right? And I said, yeah. He said, well, then I can't ruin it, right? And I said, I guess not. I said, if I'm going to shave it off, I said, I guess not. He says, awesome. He's like, okay, great. And he's like, oh, like, yeah, okay. Then he
Awesome.
tells Ahmad, he said, hey, he said, my keyboard player's going to let me cut his hair at the show. And Ahmad's kind of like, okay, like, okay, that's what y'all do. I'm like, you're like, okay. But we get to this thing, man, and it's crazy because now what I didn't know, because he told me, like, okay, he said, okay, Morris. He said, so when we're doing the song, you get uh what is it, the hairdresser, I can't remember her name right now. He said, you get her to like whip your hair up real bouffante, like get it up, like put some hair gel in, get it all up, poo poo foo foo foo. And he said, get it as high as you can get it, and then you wear your jacket with the hoodie on it, so then you keep it covered up on the thing, and then you wear this thing, and then when I'm gonna come over there, I'm gonna take a razor, like this the electric razor thing. I'm gonna whip that off, and then I'm gonna just like shave it off, like in the middle of the song. He said, man, it's rock and roll. Nobody's never seen nothing like this, and it's gonna blow people's minds. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, I'm like, okay, cool. So we get to we get to doing this thing. Now you have to understand, this is not like a video like where the music is playing. We're playing live.
Right.
So my
Right.
first job is the music, not the haircut. So I'm still playing my music and I cannot mess up. So I'm looking at my keyboards. He comes over and we get to this part of the song. He whips this thing off and I'm still playing and he just goes and he's like cutting into it. And it's like hair is flying in my mouth, it's in my eyes, it's all over the keys. I'm like, oh my God. Like it's like I don't know if you ever saw that episode of WKRP when they were throwing the turkeys out the helicopter and
Yes,
they
I
realized they
love
don't
that.
fly.
Yes.
It's like they did basically the Hindenburg thing skit over the top of the turkeys had falling down people's cars. I had hair everywhere. It was going down it was like, oh my God. So I'm looking like startled, like, look, what the it's hair. I'm like this, and it's crazy. And then she comes off. He takes a couple of swipes and just leaves it like I just got somebody ran it over with a lawnmower and then
Yep.
just say, yeah, I don't need to cut the grass today. I'm gonna go ahead and go in. And just left me like that, just like half a head toe up. But then she came on the next song, and just like while I'm playing the next song, she's shaving my head off during the next song. After that was over, we all were on separate stages. Like Prince had a little stage, him and Mike Taylor was on. I had my own keyboard stage. Michael had a stage. Barbarella had a stage. Sonny, and then we would walk down these stairs on each one of those platforms down to the floor and wait in between. Tracks would play or a video would play or something, and then we'd take a break and then we'd go back on the stage. And man, let me tell you something. I walked off of that stage with my head now. I'm bald headed now and I got my hair all shaved down. Prince was so happy. He was like, "Man," he says, "nobody's ever done that. Nobody in rock and roll has ever seen. They've never seen anything like that." Because this footage of what's my man that played with San Antonio, the Admiral, um,
Oh, David Robinson.
David Robinson.
David
They
Robinson.
was all like, everybody was looking like, what the hell is going on? This dude getting his hair cut on stage. Prince was like, Morris, nobody's ever seen anything like it before. This dude kisses me. Now he's standing about 2 or 3 steps. I'm like 6'5", so he's standing about 3 steps taller than me. And he leans over and just like kisses me in the top of my bald head. He said that was the coolest thing I ever seen. Like he was just like so happy. And I was just like, okay. So so he was just like, man, he was so elated with the whole optics of it, the whole thing. It was crazy, and I mean, it was just like. It's a weird thing that Prince kiss you like you're a dude, and like it's like dude kiss you in the head. Like that was really weird. Yeah, the ball thing was cool. I liked it. It's like Prince Albert liked it too. He shined a laser on my bald head when I was in Monaco. He put the laser on the back of my head, and the bodyguard, Maite's bodyguard, thought I was getting ready to get shot from outside, like assassinated, and he jumped into action. But it was Prince Albert playing with a laser pointer, drawing circles on the back of my bald head, and so that was cool. But yeah, that's what that whole deal was. That was crazy. It was just crazy. But it was fun. But it was just like I didn't really know how it was gonna go.
All right. So, another question, then one quick question at the end, and I promise it'll just be these two.
I'm good.
Well, can after you finish your two, I have one quick one after yours, if that's okay.
Well, I want the final one because it's just like a
Oh,
wrap-up question.
okay.
But this question is from one of my dear friends, Edgar Krauser, who lives in the Netherlands, and he wants to know: do you have any specific memories from the Paradiso 1995 show, or
Oh
if not, any Amsterdam performances?
well, I'm gonna tell you the thing about Amsterdam and the Netherlands in general, like Holland and the Netherlands. It was one of Prince's favorite places. It was one of my favorite places because we always, no matter what, it was always super live crowds in the Netherlands. And I remember telling Prince one time because we spent a lot of time in Europe and a lot of time in different places. And I just said, Prince, why don't we just move there, man? Like they love us here, man. I said, why don't we just move here, man? Like I said, there's always great crowds. It's no matter what city we went to. Because some nights we had to work a little harder. Like, we went to like, what is it, Kiel, like some place in Germany. And man, Prince had to work. Like we were playing with Carmen. They were so dead on us, man. We do and it's just crickets. You just nothing. No hand clap. Just ta 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 ta
Like the WB
and
frog.
nothing. Frogs. Cricket, cricket, cricket. And man, Prince was like, okay, y'all one of them, huh? And then this dude would just come out blazing, change his whole show format up on the fly, because he's like, no, I'm gonna win y'all over. And I'm gonna show you what it is. And this dude would come out and murder and just be like he had to work for it. But when we go to Holland, it just was like everywhere we went was just live. The people was into it. I was just like, bro, this is so dope. Let's just stay here where they love us here. He said, well, people love us in a lot of places more, so we had to go other places. We had to do things, but we all loved it there, and so we always had a great time. It's just like Paradiso was just like legendary for us. It's like that's one of the greatest like after show type of places and I'd always heard about it. He'd done it before I came and I had heard about it, so it was legendary. So by the time I get there, I'm like, so this is the legendary Paradiso, and it was epic. I mean, just and he knew that was one of the places he had to shine, and he always knew that was the place he was going to turn up and he was going to do his thing. Maceo was like that too. He had places like where people just like he said, we're going to play here 5 hours, and I'm like, we don't even got 5 hours worth of stuff. Guess what? We played 5 hours of something. And I'm like sweating like I had stole something and I was getting ready to get electrocuted. So, uh, so I was like, this is crazy. But the Prince had places like that, and I think, we always loved the UK. We always loved, France, of course, was a stronghold. But the Netherlands was special, man. I mean, and I love that about the whole Prince experience. There's so many places we went, man. Every place had a thing and had a vibe. The people were different, but it was the same because everybody loved Prince and everybody loved the music.
All right, C. Lee.
So I have two quick ones. The first one is I'm a HBCU graduate, and I know
Yeah.
you're a proud HBCU product. Did you know that Josh and Cora Dunham were also HBCU grads? I think Cora is a Howard grad and Josh was a Texas Southern grad. So my question is, did you three know that y'all were HBCU grads, and did you talk about it in it or anything around that?
I did not know about Josh. I did know about Cora. Cora talked about it occasionally, and we we didn't talk about it like much. Jackson State U, yes ma'am. Tuskegee in the house. We talked about our school days and everything, but definitely. I mean, she talks about the whole situation at Howard. Howard's a legendary school, and so are some of these other Jackson State and some of the other schools that the school I went to has a lot of history, and so and that was cool. And Prince, what I loved about Prince is when we would go to our respective homes, Prince would always have one of them cool checks that he would give us. Some big, them big ass checks that'd be like look like everybody holding it up like this, and he just say, "Hey, Morris, you got John Blackwell is going to do his thing at the school," and he give him one of them $50,000, $100,000 checks and take it to his school, and just like. And John get to take it and just go back to his school with a big fat Prince check and just hand them 100 grand like that. And that's, man, bro, you can say what you want to. That's what made Prince unmatched to me about how this dude operated. A lot of people didn't know about that part of him and didn't know that he was a huge giver to like schools and Alvin Haley, all of these places like where Misty, all of the stuff with these kids, man. I love that. I love that about him. And so that was a beautiful part of Prince. He was very much in education, and it was a big part of his whole thing with us.
So, for the second time, I wanted to talk to you about when you became basically the music director, but but there's something else that's more near this dear. I'm a poet and a short story writer by trade.
Hmm.
You
Sure.
have one of my favorite quotes and stories about Prince, and I just want you, if you could talk about it here, was what you found out when you asked Prince what did he think he did best. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh, sure. It's one of my favorite moments with him because Prince was, it was really cool, man. Because I spent so much time. Prince built a house for me right next door to his house. I live right by Paisley. And I spent a lot of time there, not only for music, just hanging out and doing stuff. And Prince looked at us like any of his bands that he was with, like family. So we'd eat together, we'd hang out and do a lot of things. But I'm from the South. I'm just country. I ask questions when I want to know certain things. I knew a lot of things don't get into the weeds with, but certain things I just wanted to ask him, just posterity type stuff. And I remember asking him one time. I said, "Prince, you do so much, man." I said, "Out of all the stuff you do," I said, "What do you think you do best, man? What is the thing that you think that you do the best?" And Prince he was just this cute brother, man. Because he had these things that he would do, and one of the things that was funny that he would do, he'd go. And he got them big old moon rock eyes, and he'd be like, at the end of the day, Morris, he said, "I'm a poet," and he says, "I think, he said, I hate bad lyrics." He says, I read," and he said, "Nobody reads anymore." He says, "I'm a poet at the end of the day, and that's what I think I do best." And I said, "You know what, Prince?" I said, I'm 110 with that, man. I always thought that no matter what era that you want to pick as far as how the music sounds and in the keyboard sounds you use, if you strip all the way, if you strip all away the music on anything that Prince wrote and just read the lyrics on
Yep.
practically any song that he's done, it's always different. It's always something. It's always clever. It's always the best. And I don't care what you think about his playing. I don't care what you think about the sounds or what. But always, if you read the lyrics and just make a book out of just Prince lyrics, it will be every single piece will have something. And he told me that's something that he wanted to do. He wanted to make something special happen in every song, and every song has something special to me in it. It's either going to be lyrically, it's going to be musically, it's going to be something that makes it stand out. And as much music as much as he did, he still managed to make a lot of it sound different. And that's just the power of Prince. It's the genius of Prince that he was able to do that. And I told him, I said, "Brother, I agree with you 110%. I think you're incredible on some lyrics, man." And he said, "Yeah, I hate bad lyrics, man." And that's why he would tell me when I'm doing my own songs. He said, "I want you to focus on work on whatever you're weak at. And if you're not good at it, get somebody to do it." And he said, "I'll mess with something." He says, but get somebody to do it. So it's done. Don't hurt the song. Song is key." He said, "So don't just try to force something and you're not doing, paying the respect to it that it needs. If you're gonna do it, do it well, and get somebody to. If you don't write lyrics, get somebody. And I took that advice. I know great singers, Kip Blackshire, all of the people that I work with, all of these singers, and so I don't, I can sing a little bit, but I don't try to, I don't flatter myself. It's like I do what I do, and I get some people who know how to do that kind of stuff, and I showcase that, and until I get to a place where I feel comfortable doing my own thing. And I love Mono Neon because Mono, certain people are like when they talk about singers and singers, Sade is Sade and Beyonce is Beyonce. Sade don't do all that stuff Beyonce do, but she's still the vocalist. She got her style. She got a vibe. Mono Neon is not a crooner like Prince, but Mono got it to town. Just like Pharrell. Pharrell ain't like D'Angelo, but he got a thing. And so I think when I start to do my thing, that's what I'm trying to find is what my voice is and what works for me. I'm a funny guy. So, and look at Morris Day. Morris ain't Prince. Morris, like, he cool. He got a persona. It's like Prince told him, like, no, man. Morris, like, I don't want to do this, man. And he's like, no, be cool. Put your hand in your pocket. Yes. And I got a penthouse in Manhattan. And, and be cool. And that's Morris's thing. And it worked for all of the.
Oh, no.
You'll be back in a second.
Yes. I wonder what. Yeah, I can still hear you. I think he's going to probably come back. Because I want to make sure we can ask. That is very funny, Arlene.
Yeah. Morris, you're talking too much now. Being away too much now, Morris.
Okay, there we go.
Somebody called my phone in the middle of my interview. And I'm like, man, how they going to call me while I'm trying to do my interview?
Okay.
Anyway, somebody said Ghost Prince turned them off. Prince ain't turned me off.
Okay. I want to wrap it up again because I want to be mindful of your time, but there's two more questions, I promise, and it'd be it. So a couple people have asked me about this. In the Dolphin video, why are you and Tommy Barbarella playing keyboards on the bed? Can you explain that for us?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you something about the Dolphin video that you may not have recognized off the bat. Number one, that is a one camera video shoot. It's a one full. Prince choreographed that video to be with one camera to start here, and it's going to do a journey. It's going to go through all of these things, just one camera. So it's going to start with him. It's going to pull back, and it's going to be Sonny. It's going to go back. It's going to pull back. It's going to be Michael. It's going to pull back. And it's going to be Tommy. It's going to pull back. So everything has a moment that they had to coordinate before we shot that, so that it was going to follow this protocol. Everything's going to go here. Now it's back at Prince, and it's going to go here. And then Tommy's going to rise up behind his keyboard, and he's going to pull out, and he's going to go to me. So one continuous take. Exactly, Chris. One continuous take. They're going to light the guitar, and they're going to drop some feathers. And while they're doing that, he says, Morris, you and Tommy move over to the bed, and then you're going to play. Then we're going to pull out to a wide shot where it can see everybody. And we're going to all be doing our things like this, and and our whole thing. And then we're going to coordinate it. But that's all a continuous shot, no breaks, no edits, just that. It's just choreographing the movements. And so, and it's very cool. I love the song Dolphin. I love that video because, we shot a lot of videos in my time, man. It's so funny because I thought that would be the thing that I liked the best in being in the rock and roll business, that we got to shoot music videos and be on MTV type of stuff. I hated that. I hated the video stuff. It just was like a lot of waiting around all day and blocking sets and doing stuff, and it just was a drag. But it was cool when it was finished, of course, but it was a lot of hard work. And yeah, Michael B. air drumming. I mean, it was dope, but that was a fun one. It was a fun one because it's like I like to see music videos that's clever and that's cool. That you're not doing the standard stuff that you normally would do. And I thought, man, how clever is that for him to just synchronize that and shoot over like just a continuous flow like that. And I thought that was cool.
It was very cool. Thank you so much. So the closing question is, you were with Prince for so long. What are the lessons that you learned while you were at with Prince that you still sort of draw on today?
Well, I'll give you a few. Number one, that I tell kids when I go do these, I got a master class coming up in St. Louis and one in Barcelona, and I'm heading back to Nairobi for a while, and I'm going to do some master classes there. One of the things I tell them is what Prince told us: it's not a mistake until you stop. That's a big thing that Prince would say. Put your hands out more so that you play your music, and just because you do something that may have not been what you intended to do, Prince made mistakes, but he could make it again and make it seem like that's what he wanted to do. He was very clever and could do that. He never panicked, So it's only when you look like you're in trouble are you in trouble, and so he just said, "Yeah, Morris, this is cool. Just like if your keyboard breaks, keep moving, man. Keep going. It ain't a mistake until you stop." They think that's what it was supposed to do. And my keyboard crapped out on me one time in Sweden, and it just made a big. And then I was just like, what the hell? Like, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, and the first thing you want to do is like, Prince, I ain't do it, dog. I don't know, man. I ain't even touch it, man. You want to do that. And it's like, it was just like, he just said, dude, just throw it on the ground, tear it up, and I'll buy you a new one. But don't look like a deer in the headlights. Now everybody's looking. Keyboard's got in trouble. His stuff is in trouble. And it's like, no, don't, just be cool, man. Just, that was one thing. The other thing is, that I have to say, and it's been a tough struggle for me, personally, and I don't have a problem telling people because everybody got some shit in life. Everybody got stuff that you need to fix in your life. I've worked with the best, and I don't sometimes feel like I was worthy of the accolades and worthy of the things that I received. Like, 'cause I find it very difficult to accept a lot of those things, and so I have to learn. I have to get my mind in a place where I just think like be grateful for the gifts that you have, and also that it realize that you are worthy, that you have done something. And don't belittle the gift God gave you. He did a great thing to do that sort of thing. And so I have to remind myself to not be too humble to the point where I don't recognize God's gift and understand that he did a great service and linking me up with these people and the people, the bandmates that I work with, and the likes of Sheila and Maceo and Stevie and Shaka and all of the people that I've been blessed to work with. Man, I'll be driving in my car sometime listening to stuff. I got my little playlist going, man, and people come on that I work with, man, and they just be tearing me up. Man, I can't even listen to Planet Earth. I can't get through that joke without crying. I can't get through it. It's like I'm so grateful for the opportunity for all of these people and all of these things. And so I guess the advice is to believe in yourself. Believe that absolutely you can do these things. If I can do it, anybody can do it. You know what I'm saying? So just understand you have worth, you have the ability, anybody can do it. Trust yourself, trust your beliefs, and then keep getting better. I'm trying to do better with it. I talk to people about it, and I work it out. So that's what I want to leave with people. Just keep on keeping on and keep doing it, and you too will do all of the things that you want to do. We're our own worst enemies when it comes as it relates to the things that we do in our lives. We are the ones that put the roadblocks in front of ourselves, and we're the only ones that can really stop ourselves. Nobody can stop you.
Yes, and I love this comment from Anil, and this speaks for me. You've made so much for all of us, over the years, the concerts, the music, just everything, and you are so appreciated, and that you would take time out of your day to talk to us means so much to me during this week.
Well, I appreciate it, Neil. He's a good friend. I've been knowing this brother from a long way back, and so many that I've seen pop up on here, Darlene Nisi and all of the wonderful people that have been around and been part of the Prince family, and all of you and all of the people, man. I'm so grateful for everybody I've met over the years. There's been many of you and a lot of us that have some really cool stories, and I'm very grateful for that. And Prince got the best. I told him one time, I said, Prince, you got the best freaking fans in the world, man. You really do. These people stood outside in the cold and all of the things. And so Miss D'Angela, we for you and brother C Lee. I like that name too, man. It's a very cool thing. You should go in the acting business, like ask for that James Bond part when you get a chance. I'm C Lee,
Well,
joining for Bond.
I just want to
So, but
say to
thank
you,
you everybody. Appreciate this.
I just want to say to you, from one Southern man, from a Clarksville, Mississippi man, an Arkansas man, an Alabama woman, I just need you to know just how much pride I always took knowing that a HBCU grad, a Black Southerner, is basically Prince's longest tenured musician, and that you became not just the musical director for Prince's band, but when all the reunions and all of that started happening, people were more than willing to defer to you for you to be the director, musical director, to put all that together. I just need you to know, as a Southerner and an HBCU grad, how proud you made me. That's it. I'll shut up.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. I do, and I'm grateful because, like I said, there are some formidable people that Prince has had in his camp. I'm a super fan of all of the keyboard players. From one of my earliest loves as far as the keyboard was Lisa Coleman. She's, Prince spoke very highly of Lisa. She's phenomenal. And of course, Matt was like, a beast. And then when I got to see Barbarella, and of course Renato was just stupid. I mean, this kid can just do what he feel like doing. And then by the time I got to, with all of the people that I had right there at the end, uh, it just was just so many greats that Prince had. And then by the time he got to the all girls group and got through that, man, it was just crazy. So I'm just so blessed again to be in there with Cassie and all of the folks that were keyboard. Chance Howard, like all of the folks that came in and preceded me or came after me that I got a chance to, like, we're all lifelong friends and bandmates, and so I have a healthy amount of respect for everybody that came along that. And I think I think as Cassie had a wonderful idea. I spoke to her like while I was out in LA a couple weeks ago, and Cassie had called me and just had this idea about all of the keyboard players getting together and just kind of having like a forum where we talk to everybody. And I thought, like, wow, that's amazing. I said, Cassie, I'm down. That would be so dope. And then I started thinking, like, well, shoot, all the bass players should get together, Sonny and Mark and all the guitar players and just everybody that had a part in their roles, and then just figure out ways to like continue this legacy, because that's what it's about for me at this point, man. It's like the continuation and the proliferation of Prince's legacy. That's what it is to me at this point, man. And aside from the playing and the stuff, we'll figure all of that out. But I just want it to be where Prince, his legacy continues, and we continue to push that. The estate continues to push that, and just everybody understands that this man means so much to the world, and his music means so much to the world. It has to be out here. It has to be in a place where it's accessible to everyone that can listen to this music. Legacy, legacy, legacy. That is correct. Thank you, Brother Edgar. I appreciate that. Everybody, thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you. And I just, very small part, I've been doing the symposia since 2017 every year.
Absolutely.
And I try to get students at NYU, to come and just learn about Prince, because his legacy is what it's all about. So thank you so much.
Yeah, get some of us to come to your school. We love to come there and talk to you people there. And that's what I'm kind of doing now with my master classes. I did it with Columbia and Chicago, and I'm starting to go to more schools and going to St. Louis this week. And so we want to talk to everybody, anybody that wants to hear, and anybody wants to know about our experiences, how we do what we did, all that sort of things. Then there's lots of us that Cassandra is an educator now. That's what she does, and so all of these folks would be happy to come out and talk to students and really just give them a dose of what it was to work with a great like that. It's no different than people who work with Michael or Elvis and James and all of those legends. Prince is a freaking legend. And for us that had an opportunity to work with him, we need to disseminate all of this information that if it's going to help somebody to become what they want to become. There's a lot of artists out here, and a lot of people need to know.
Thank you so much for your time. It has been
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. All right. I am going to remove you from the stage and just quickly say we are going to reconvene over on Zoom, but we're supposed to start at 8, but let's do 8:05. I just need to get out of the chair for just like 5 minutes, and then we'll go over to Zoom, and that's where you'll be able to turn on your camera and you'll be able to turn on your audio so you can share what were the highlights for you. I'm sure we're going to be talking about Mr. Hayes because this was such an amazing interview. Seeley, thank you so much for holding it down with me. I really, really appreciate it. So let's take like 5 minutes. Let's move our bodies, drink some water and all of that, and just really bask in that amazing conversation we just had with Mr. Hayes and how generous he was with his time, and being able to talk about this era of Prince has been just phenomenal. And we have one more day to do this. So I can't believe Edgar, it's 2 a.m. in the Netherlands. So yes, I think you need to go to sleep now. And hopefully I'll see you in the morning. Yes, and I wholeheartedly agree. An all-timer, even by Symposium standards. For sure, it is definitely one of the best interviews ever, if not the best. All right, so I'm going to sign off now, and we will reconvene 8:05-ish, all right, on Zoom events. Okay, bye, everybody. Thank you, Seeley.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Hayes.